A song reaches its peak, and suddenly your arms erupt in tiny bumps. Nothing touched you. The room isn't cold. And yet, in the span of a single second, the skin along your arms, your neck, the back of your scalp tightens into hundreds of tiny raised points, each one lifting a single hair on end. A wave of it sweeps over your body. It can happen at a swell of music, a line in a film, a memory that catches you off guard, a moment of awe under a vast sky. Something with no physical substance at all reach inside you and pull a physical response out of your skin. But the real answer is far stranger than a chill. Goosebumps. Those bumps that rise on your skin when you're cold or moved or afraid are not really about you at all. They are a ghost, a leftover reflex inherited from animal ancestors who needed it for reasons that no longer apply to your smooth, mostly hairless body. When you get goosebumps at a piece of music, you are watching a piece of ancient machinery fire in a world it was never designed for, doing a job that, for you, no longer exists. And once you understand what that job was, you'll realize your own body is carrying around the fossils of creatures you've never met. Let's start with what's physically happening, because it's more precise than you might think. Each hair on your body sits in a tiny pit called a follicle, and attached to each follicle is a microscopic muscle. It has a wonderful name, the erector pili, Latin for that which raises the hair. When this muscle contracts, it tugs on the base of the hair, pulling it upright, and in doing so, it pushes the surrounding skin up into a small bump. Multiply that by the thousands of hairs across your body, all contracting at once, and you get that instantaneous wave of bumps rolling across your skin. The medical term for the whole phenomenon is piloerection. Hair standing up. Now, crucially, you do not decide to do this. You cannot, by an act of will, give yourself goosebumps the way you can raise your arm. Those tiny muscles are controlled by your sympathetic nervous system, the same ancient automatic system that runs your fight or flight response, your heartbeat, the dilation of your pupils. Goosebumps are wired into the part of you that operates below conscious control, the part that reacts before you can think. And that placement is the first clue that something deep and old is going on. So why would evolution build a reflex to make your hair stand up? For an animal with a thick coat of fur, the answer is brilliantly practical, and it splits into two functions. The first is warmth. When a furry animal gets cold, those tiny muscles contract, and its fur stands on end. This fluffs up the coat, trapping a thicker layer of air close to the skin. That trapped air acts as insulation, a built-in down jacket that puffs up automatically the moment the temperature drops. Think of a cat or a squirrel in winter, looking almost comically round and fluffed. That's piloerection, working exactly as designed, an automatic, energy-efficient way to stay warm. The second function is about looking bigger. When a threatened animal is frightened or facing a rival, the same reflex fires, and the fur stands up all over its body, especially along the back and neck. A cat arching its back with its fur on end suddenly looks far larger and more dangerous than it actually is. A frightened dog raises the hair along its spine, the hackles, to seem more formidable. For an animal trying to scare off a predator or win a standoff without an actual fight, looking suddenly twice your size is an extraordinarily useful trick. The fear and the fur raising are linked, hardwired together, because for our furry ancestors, looking big in a moment of fear could be the difference between life and death. Now look at your own arm. You don't have a thick coat. The fine, sparse hair on human skin traps almost no air and makes you look not one bit more intimidating. The reflex still fires. Perfectly. Precisely. Exactly as it did in our ancestors. But the equipment it was built to operate, the dense fur, is gone. You are running the software for a coat you no longer have. This is what biologists call a vestigial reflex, a behavior left over from an evolutionary past, still firing in a body that no longer needs it. Goosebumps are to behavior what the appendix is to anatomy, a working mechanism whose original purpose has faded away. But here is where it gets genuinely fascinating and a little mysterious. Because if goosebumps were purely a leftover for cold and threat, why do they erupt during a beautiful piece of music? Why does a soaring chorus, or a stunning landscape, or a wave of nostalgia trigger the same fight or flight reflex meant for freezing temperatures and mortal danger? The answer reveals something profound about how your emotions are wired. That powerful aesthetic shiver, the one people often call a frisson or the chills, appears to happen because deeply moving experiences activate the very same ancient emotional and arousal circuitry that fear and cold once did. A sudden, intense, overwhelming emotion, awe, being moved, a chill of recognition, floods your nervous system with the same surge of arousal that a threat would. And that surge trips the old alarm, firing the arrector pili muscle as if you were facing a predator or a winter storm. Your body, in other words, doesn't have a separate response for being moved by beauty. It borrows the one built for survival. The chill you feel at a perfect note is the ancient machinery of fear and cold repurposed, firing in response to something sublime. There's research suggesting that people who experience these aesthetic chills more intensely may have particular patterns in how their brains connect emotional processing with sensory and arousal regions, a richer wiring between feeling and the body. The chills, in this view, are a sign of how powerfully your emotional brain is coupled to your physical one, how completely a feeling with no physical form can still command your flesh. So sit with what goosebumps actually are. They are a bridge across deep time, connecting you, sitting in a warm room moved by a song, to a furry ancestor on a cold plain, raising its hackles at a sound in the dark. The exact same muscles, the exact same reflex, the exact same surge of the nervous system, separated by millions of years and triggered now by something that ancestor could never have imagined. A melody, a memory, a moment of overwhelming beauty. This is the strange truth your skin is telling you. Your body is not a clean, purpose-built machine. It is a layered archive, carrying forward old tools long after the jobs they were made for vanished. Most of the time, this hidden history is invisible. But every so often, a piece of music swells, or you step outside under a sky full of stars, and a wave of bumps rolls across your arms. And for 1 second, the deep past surfaces directly onto the surface of your body. You came here wondering why you get goosebumps when nothing is touching you. But the real answer was never about the cold or the music. It was about the astonishing fact that you are a walking museum of your own evolution, that the reflexes of ancient animals are still alive in your skin, waiting, and that the next time beauty moves you so deeply that your arms prickle and your hair stands on end, you are feeling something far older than yourself rise up to meet it, a creature that vanished long ago, reaching through millions of years to answer a song it could never have heard.